This week's episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
Gamefly.
And Netflix.
All right, everybody, coming up on the show, we're going to be talking about the new movie Splice and Get Him to the Greek. Also, Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands video game. Plus, a little while back, it was Dan's birthday. We're going to celebrate party time.
Three rad dudes get stuck in a cartoon. They meet the Beagle Crew. It's DuckTales. Woohoo! They ask what to do to heist McDuck's loot. Just wait till it's true that he's left for Peru. Then slip right into the bin of doubloons. Just swim right through, then take some for you. That's all you have to do to let Uncle Scrooge finance the new Totally Rad Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Totally Rad Show, episode number 168. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
The Totally Rad Show is a weekly dose of all things rad. We take ourselves down into a secret lab. We take a little bit of the DNA from famous movies, a little bit of the DNA from maybe 80s cartoon shows, a little bit of the DNA from Nintendo Entertainment System, and we splice it all together and then poke you in the eye with a poison stick.
So, if you ever are curious what the premise of the Totally Rad Show is, it's basically the premise of whatever movie we're going to be reviewing that week.
Just with rad things. Speaking of rad things, rad intro, Sunday intro.
Written by John Bodapijo.
Don Bodapijo.
Bodapijo.
Which probably is not the way to pronounce
No,
it. Either way.
He's like, it's Voja.
But awesome DuckTales. We're big,
love
big
DuckTales.
longtime listener, friend of the show, Tad Stones. Is one of the artists or creators of DuckTales.
Well,
He created DuckTales,
I
or
think
was it
Chippendales,
Darkwing
right?
Duck?
Rescue Rangers and Darkwing Duck.
Yeah,
The hybrid of DuckTales.
But Launchpad McQuack was in both.
Yeah, I mean, there's crossover. There's always
crossover.
crossover characters.
Of course.
Personally, I like the DuckTales, but Chippendales, the music from Chippendales, probably my favorite.
Chippendales.
Rescue Rangers. Where's danger?
We also have to tell you about
Awesome.
our background, even though we're doing nothing even remotely Western related.
Nope.
This was sent in a little bit later than we could have used it for Red Dead, but it's so awesome that we couldn't not use it. Chris S., who also goes by the King at Rock, there ain't none higher. Sucker MCs will call him sire.
If you didn't catch on, this is the musical episode
Yes.
of the Totally Rad Show.
I just love that earlier you were like, yes, and it goes by the Chris Ed Rock, or the whatever.
King at Rock.
King at Rock. And he was like, and I'm going to mention that on the show.
I am.
In his brain, I'm thinking, now I know why he's going to mention it on the show, so he can rap. Speaking of rap,
Run the MC.
let's rap about some movies.
This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice, which comes from director Vincenzo Natali, who is famous for directing the 1997
97?
Cube came out.
Did he do anything in the interim?
He has made a few things. They've made Cube sequels. I don't think he was a part of them, but he has made
they
a
had to
couple-
make at least 3, just so they could say cubed.
Right. Well, actually, it was interestingly, it was Hypercube and Cube Zero.
Really?
What?
But anyway,
Missed opportunity.
Cube's a big deal, and a lot of our younger listeners probably don't even know about this film, but it was made for a paltry sum of money, and it's a high-concept science fiction film about a group of strangers in a futuristic prison filled with traps, and it's an incredibly creative and an amazing movie. I've seen it within the past year, and it's still really good.
It was a big Sci-Fi Channel thing, right? Or USA or something. It hit some like cable network and then just was like
I think Sci-Fi Channel always plays the sequels.
yeah.
It's one of those movies like El Mariachi where people look what you can make for nothing.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
Would you like my
Habla español.
pronunciation?
Yes, and it's one of the movies that probably sent a lot of people to film school. But this is a big screen return for Vincenzo Natali, and Splice stars Adrian Brody and Sarah Polley as scientists who combine the DNA of many animals
different
and
animals,
insects and human to create this new creature. It's
abomination.
It's tonally sort of like E.T. meets The Fly, and very Cronenbergian,
A little alien mixed in.
with a lot of things mixed in.
Well,
What?
Spliced.
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
we're all big fans of Cube here.
Yeah.
All anxiously awaiting Vincenzo's return.
Yeah.
What did you think of Splice?
Well, going in, I was under a massive misapprehension of what this movie was about. I think the marketing and my expectations were that it was going to be a straight up monster movie where, the defecation hits the oscillation right away. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
And the kind of movie where
No, I don't get that at all.
the kind of movie where the girl puts her hand in the thing,
Yeah.
and everybody cringes because of the horrible, horrible stuff that's going to happen.
Right.
And that happens right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, here we go. Here's where it's all going to
Yep.
start.
Meat grinder.
And the movie handles that moment in a very, it undercuts the tension, and it moves past that moment very quickly and moves on to something different. And the whole movie as a piece is much more interested in exploring themes, and we talked about this a lot last week, about what great sci-fi does. I think this movie is much more like a Twilight Zone episode than it is like a straight-up horror film. It kind of gets there very, very late to the horror stuff, but for the most part, I was pretty drawn in and interested in themes of parenthood, family, the needs and sort of psychological drama of what that is, and it was using science fiction to analyze that stuff and make you look at it in a different way. Not to mention the fact that Adrian Brody, in lesser hands, I think this movie could have really seemed like a B film, but Adrian Brody really brings his A game and carries the movie for me. Sarah Polley, I thought, plays a really effective Lady Macbeth.
What did you like it?
I, for the most part, did. I think, it's a very slow burn, and I had a hard time adjusting to the fact that, this really isn't a horror movie. This really isn't a gore fest that I thought it was
think
gonna
one of the
be.
biggest problems with I mean, I totally agree with you. I think one of the biggest problems was the misconception of going in, because the people who are going to seek this movie out, I think, are people who watch the trailer and go, oh, I'm so excited to just be spooked and gory scared and like jump scared and woo, little monsters on my feet. Ah! You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
it's
were
not-
there.
now
You
that
were
I
there.
understood.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
not
you.
Alien. It's not.
But I don't know if I loved it in what it actually was. There was a lot more laughter in the theater than I think was intended. There were some moments that I think were supposed to be funny, but I don't think there were certain elements that happened that were supposed to elicit utter outrageous laughter.
I think that laughter came from uncomfortableness.
Maybe. I mean, for me, I was like, this is the weirdest thing that could be happening now. Not, I'm uncomfortable because this is such an awkward moment, but I mean, like, this is so out of left field that it's funny to me. It didn't elicit, I think, the emotion that was supposed to be elicited, but so I think that it became off as sort of a mixed bag in those things where it was just sort of oscillating between like these really sweet moments about character that were really cool and genuine, and I dug that, to then this sort of wild, weird train that it ended up taking as a movie as a whole. It just sort of felt real mixed to me.
Yeah. More on your side, I completely disagree with almost everything you said.
As you
Jeff.
always do.
Yes.
Ah.
As I have the past couple weeks. In that, well, I shouldn't say everything, because you guys are right that it's one movie in the beginning and it's another movie for the majority of the movie. And I think that I'm learning about just that idea, and that as a screenplay, or even as someone pitching that's very exciting. You sort of never know where this movie is going to go.
Yeah.
But I must say, when I watch, this is not the first time that we've seen a movie like this, and I'm realizing as I watch movies like this, I don't enjoy that about it. I sort of feel like I'm being set up for something, and I'm sort of have to reinitiate the dramatic question that's supposed. It just doesn't feel like a complete thought. It feels a little disjointed and disconnected.
I think that's a really we could do a whole episode just on that idea, because it's really interesting to me that basically what you're saying is I'm conditioned as a seasoned movie viewer.
Not movie viewer. Stories, you know,
right?
Acts and structure.
Why should they be tied to what you are accustomed to?
It's not that it should. It's that you know, a movie opens on a dramatic question of will he get the girl? Will it, right? And you sort of get your hopes up. You start foreseeing the way you feel about a character and what may happen to them and what your hopes and dreams. And so when you watch those sequences, Indiana Jones, will he get the idol? Will he help me marry? And then when you're watching, the suspense is, will he do that? Will he do that thing that I want him to do?
But this movie develops that question over a much longer period of time. Right. You don't realize the question that they're developing until much later, like a Twilight Zone episode.
Right. However, in addition to that, I did think the acting was very hokey, and these are two actors that have been phenomenal in other works. And the story, I liked the premise.
Yeah.
I liked everything. I liked the story of the creature, of Dren, they call her. I did not like their story. I felt, everything you said about it sounds great, but I think the movie did a very surfacey exploration of those things, kind of like a Twilight episode would, where it just touches the surface and you have to dive into it.
I love that about it in the sense that I gave it a lot of credit. We learned something about her and her past late in the movie, just as you would in real life. Like in a kind of a bad screenplay version of this, you'd get a scene that would set her up, and we'd sort of be waiting for when that was going to come back. But this movie, it sort of just throws it in, just like life. Like, oh, this is how your life was.
Right.
I don't know.
But for me, I sort of wanted that idea to be explored, not just
tossed in.
And
Plus,
I felt there's a lot of things that it didn't really explore the idea.
I felt like this was a really good short film idea that they stretched out into a full movie.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think we should say, I'm sure you guys agree with me, the special effects, the practical creature effects by Greg Nicotero, who's like the go-to horror guy, and the CG, the combination and the performance of that lead creature girl.
Yeah, if you've
it was phenomenal.
If you've ever had a fantasy about like
demon effing,
like
demon effing.
Drawings of fairy wings and things, this is the movie for you.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, all right.
Moving on, we should talk about the other release this past weekend, the big comedy of one of the big comedies of the summer, Get Him to the Greek, and it comes from Nick Stoller, who did a couple years ago Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and the lead, one of the main characters of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, played by Russell Brand, the rebellious rock star, is the lead of this film. The rebellious rock star who Jonah Hill, who is a sort of an A&R. Works for a music company, has to get this rebellious British rock star to
sort of an Axl Rose.
To the Greek Theater in Los Angeles.
From London.
From London.
Via New York to go on the Today Show.
Yeah. Alex?
Yes, thank you for remembering.
What did you think of Get Him to the Greek? Was the Greek gotten?
Was the Greek gotten? I think I think this movie was way more laughs and some amazingly guttural laughter than it was not laughs. But I think overall, it wasn't my favorite comedy. There's something about, and I felt the same way about Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I watched about half of it on a plane and I was like, not interested, and turned it off. I forgot about it. I was like, who is the Sarah Marshall? But it's surprising because I love crude humor, but there's something about these two movies that is so overtly crude.
What two movies? Oh, Forgetting Sarah Marshall
and Get Him to the Greek. Yeah. So overtly crude and consistently crude that it loses its, if ever there was a snap to it, it loses it. And it almost becomes this sort of like, yes, I get it, it's crude. Yes, you keep making these jokes, and they were really funny at the beginning, and now it's just the same joke over and over again. So there's this whole layer of crudeness that I don't like. However, I will say, there is a throwaway moment in this movie that is possibly one of the funniest things that I have ever seen in my life. He's in London and waking up groggy as this American guy, and it just sort of pans across this sort of London apartment, and there's a TV on, and they put this fake foreign British kind of weird sporting event on, and it's only on for like 3 seconds, and I really thought I was going to have an issue.
Alex and I both almost hurt ourselves laughing at that. And in subsequent days, like,
Oh
bringing
my
it up to
God!
each other.
I think of that and I can start laughing hysterically. So there's a lot here, and I think if you love comedies, it's definitely a must-go see and watch. But I think overall, it wasn't a full funny all the way through. There were some weird scenes too.
I definitely think it's an easy movie to recommend. You will laugh, I predict. I laughed a lot in this movie. And it's interesting to me that this cult of...
Personality?
what's his name?
I don't even know what ballpark we're in.
You don't? The
Russell Brand?
No.
Jonah Hill? Apatow?
Yes, Apatow. The whole Apatow
Nick
sort
Stiller
of
does
umbrella.
come from, he was an undeclared guy, so he came from...
All those movies, I had a thought that it reminds me kind of how, you know how John Hughes movies, sort of, there's a range of how good or bad they are, but they always sort of nail that feeling of being a high school kid. These movies do that same thing, but for being in a committed relationship. All these movies, there's such a wonderful dynamic between Jonah Hill and his girlfriend in this movie, and it's so casual and natural and beautiful. I love, and all these movies have that, and it's really, really cool. I laughed a lot. There is a lot of funny, but I agree with you. It's sort of frivolous, unsubstantial. Like it's not gonna last humor.
Yeah.
It's humor that's gonna hit you once, and it's gonna really make you laugh. But it's well worth seeing, I think.
I agree with you guys. It's an easy comedy to recommend. I don't normally recommend comedies. I'm not usually the guy that laughs at them, laughs out loud at them, even if I think they're funny. The first half of this movie is one of the funniest comedies I've ever seen. It is hilarious, hilarious, hilarious. On top of that, the relationship stuff between Jonah Hill and Peggy from Mad Men, I don't know her name, was really awesome in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And very loose, it didn't feel improv-y and filmed improv. It felt like there was real genuine stuff. A lot of the humor in the first half of the movie is all comes from truthiness, right?
Yeah.
It all comes from so much so that the jokes are literally people saying what everyone's thinking in that awkward moment.
That part where the guy goes, "Please don't make me throw my phone."
Right. Right.
So deadpan and beautiful.
The whole sense of humor of the first half of this movie is just what is the truth of the matter that everyone's thinking. The second half of the movie goes really blue. And it goes really shocking and crude, as
And
you guys
weird.
were saying, and very, very weird.
Yeah.
And it feels like they made some weird jokes, and instead of letting them be throwaway jokes, they went over here,
Well, it's like they said-
and then the rest of the movie stays out here.
It's like they said, you know what nobody has ever done is actually do the thing that we just made a joke about.
Right. And unfortunately, the resolution is bizarre.
Yeah.
All the relationship stuff in the beginning loses all of its truth. It just because it goes to that weird place.
I agree with you.
It's like different to be different almost. There's nothing I can take away from it.
But it doesn't ruin the movie.
It really
Well, it doesn't
almost
ruin the
It
humorous
doesn't ruin the first
experience.
half of the movie
Right.
for me, but that second half, I mean, it's bizarre.
Plus, the music was actually really good and funny.
Yeah, the like fake songs, I would want to listen to some of them.
Beans, bangers, and mash. My bangers, beans, and mash I had looping on my computer for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. So there you have it. Two different movies.
Spliced together.
Two different reviews.
Spliced to the Greek.
Enjoy.
sauce. So, many of you may know, because of
Dan.
Wikipedia, that Dan's birthday has come and passed. It was May 11th? May 11th. We individually got him some gifts, but Mike had just wanted to do a gift that also included a segment.
All right, this is that.
This is that.
And I have no idea. It's been a very mysterious day.
Now, while Mike is obviously recording,
It's a very mysterious day.
This segment.
The whole day. We woke
this
Dan
is
up, we
just-
blindfolded him.
so this is just fully ready, Mike, right? There's no, okay. So
Is
this
it from Williamson Sonoma or
is
just
from
the packaging?
Mike, maybe, I don't know.
You'll see.
This is from Mike.
Star Wars cookie cutters.
It's time
Awesome.
to bake.
It's a Star Wars cookie
How-
set.
First of all, awesome.
It came to this. So
Thank you,
now,
Mike. Thank you.
So let's have a little discussion of your baking history.
yes.
My mom was a baker when I was a kid. She
Professionally,
invented
or-
a low-fat cake.
Really?
That yeah.
Oh, that's where you.
That
That's
actually
the
was-
Trachtenberg Millions.
It was
is
my. It was
the low-fat cake.
What?
Wait, you're Dan Trachtenberg
You need to hear?
of the Trachtenberg cake fortune?
Dan Trachtenberg Fields.
Trachtenberg Field.
No, actually, I wanted chocolate chip pancakes, and it turned into not that. It turned into a chocolate cake.
Oh, so it was a mistake.
it was a
like
mistake.
the chocolate's in my peanut butter, the peanut butter's in my
Exactly.
chocolate, and a
Amazing.
wonderful thing is
And a
born.
low-fat cake is
So
born
there
somehow.
is baking in my family, though usually
It skips a generation. I
happens,
think
but-
that's how it works, right?
May the force be with your
Oh,
cookies.
Mike.
Always.
I like sanding sugar.
Yeah.
I like
That's
how
for the
that's
Tatooine
gonna
cookies.
For the
taste.
sand people.
Is you guys are gonna make it for me, right?
No.
Just Mike is gonna make
You
it
got
for
the
me.
gift part. You got the gift part
This
right
is
there.
the gift part is over.
Then we all sort of get a gift of watching you bake.
Yeah. And then the gift of eating them. So we got this is clearly the dark side of the cookie cutters, right? Boba Fett, Darth
Oh,
Vader,
yeah.
Stormtrooper, and then
Yeah, Mike.
just to finish it out, Yoda.
Oh wow. Interesting.
Oh.
The what?
All right. Oh, and here's
Star
the
Wars cookies. I'm excited to try to actually do Boba Fett,
Go ahead.
but in the way that Boba Fett is decorated, you know
Yeah,
what I
totally.
mean?
Well, is it like? Oh no,
Or
you
even
have to do
Vader.
that.
Look
Yeah.
at Vader, the helmet accents. So we're gonna use this. We're gonna see how close we can get to the actual
Drawings.
drawings.
Well, look.
Interesting.
Somehow you like press the. Oh yeah, you go like that.
You-
Oh, and that's what makes the
The
detailing.
detail imprint.
Sweet,
oh, this is
dude.
gonna be epic.
You
These are
don't
gonna be
wanna
the
push
best
down too
cookies. These are gonna
hard.
be the best sugar cookies ever made.
I
So
know
you-
what I'm making Mike for his birthday.
Sugar cookies! So, we are preparing to prepare the cookies.
The oven is being preheated to 350 degrees. In the bowl, we're gonna mix our ingredients, which is the cookie mix packet and the vanilla paste packet, and then some butter. And
Do you wanna cut the
sugar
butter?
for sprinkling.
Do I want to cut the butter?
You wanna
Yes,
cut
that
the
question is
butter.
always yes.
So let's cut the butter into 1/2-inch pieces. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that flour.
So, Daniel,
Is this just flour or is it a special kind of flour?
probably got flour, sweetening, leavening agents,
leavening
yeast, ginkgo biloba. Just cut the hell out of the butter.
Here's the vanilla.
Yeah, that looks good. All right, you ready to start mixing here, bud?
I need the butter in there, but yeah. Is that good?
Yeah, start it. Slowly.
I thought about it before I got it. I was
Slowly.
That's
Start mixing.
3/4.
I still want to mix.
Oh!
Watch your face.
Yeah, be careful. You know how to do this, right? So that it doesn't.
No, I don't.
Go, Dan, go.
You turn it off. No, you turn it off. You turn it off. You put it in, and then
Yeah.
you turn it on.
Okay.
You don't stick it in on.
Okay. That's not what else is gonna make me do.
Hey, I'm just.
So,
I'm just here.
okay. There you go.
You went a higher speed setting then.
One.
Something's happening. At this point.
You're kind of just moving it around. You got to really push. There you go.
Oh, I do, but it's
Is there supposed to be some liquid also? I would have
It's
guessed.
in there.
it's in the vanilla.
That's probably why it's a flat beater.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Here, let me just see if I can get in there and do.
Yeah.
There you go. Teamwork.
Cookies are gonna have balls of butter in them.
Is that cool? Is that cool?
Is everybody cool with that? Vader having a ball of butter for a head.
There we go.
Now we're talking butterballs. Get that shit. Get that side shit going.
Yeah.
Work it. Work it.
So I feel like I'm an enemy mine. It's like slave labor. Whoop.
Oh,
So we all agreed that we are
crumbly.
crumbly.
Yeah. All right.
Now,
so
see, I'm not gonna lie to you. Some of these balls, like this balls here, they are butter.
Right. Transfer the dough to a clean work surface and divide into 2 equal discs.
This is happening.
Okay.
Oh, is this a clean work surface?
It's a clean work surface. It's clean enough.
Clean enough? Clean work surface? 2 equal but important discs.
It doesn't say important in there.
I was doing Law and Order.
Don't editorialize.
Dan, get their hands in there, buddy.
Here we go.
Disc it up. Disc it up. Wrap one in plastic wrap and refrigerate. Gently pat the other
Mine's a
dough
pretty
disc.
good disc.
Oh, Daniel?
Yeah.
You want to do the rolling pin honors?
I guess so. So do I start from back here?
Roll out onto a 10.5 by 6 inch rectangle, about 3/8 of an inch thick.
Good. Think cookie thickness. You don't have to put too much pressure the first
And
time.
you can go fast. You don't have to go super slow. Oh, you know, you should
that-
flour the
that,
pin.
that.
Flour the pin. How you doing, Dan? How's it feel?
Feels like I'm rolling.
I think-
Feels like I'm
enough
rolling
with
in
the flour,
dough
enough
right
with the
now.
flour.
Yeah, please.
Alex has gone flour crazy. All right,
Okay.
choose your weapons. I think it's time to choose your weapon.
Yeah.
I'll be a stormtrooper.
I think I'm gonna go Vader.
Oh.
Because you wanted Boba Fett, right?
Well,
Mike can be
I'm gonna
Yoda.
go Yoda. I'm gonna go Yoda, actually.
Because it's my birthday, I'll do stormtrooper and Boba Fett.
Nice.
Boba Fett?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Where?
Boba Fett.
Boom. Fun. First part was fun. Second part,
Not too hard.
I don't think
Not
you're
too
gonna go
hard?
Not
yeah.
too hard.
You just want to create an impression. I think.
very rad. What kind of impression do you have?
I have a very good impression. No, good. Deposit, yeah.
Well, hold on. Should we
Deposit
grease
it.
this?
Deposit it.
It wants to float.
Oh, it floofed!
Oh!
Nice.
I don't think I pressed down enough.
This is cool.
Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
Delicious.
Not for this rookie. Deep impression. Deep impression.
All right.
Penetrate.
Penetrated.
Penetration.
Penetrate the force. Nice.
Ooh la la. It's an orgious.
Oh, look at Yoda. That one's much better. Much more penetration on the Yoda.
Boba
Fett.
I never noticed the, yeah. Is that a
glint.
ding?
It's the glint.
It's a glint. They're scared of
I like the
it.
3 Yodas in a row. That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
They're like, Yoda, Yoda, Yoda. Oh,
Stormtrooper rising.
I think this is going to be much more successful than our Star Wars kites.
We did kites.
Kind of.
He's the evil Yoda. Look, he's like had half of his head exploded in the Clone War.
He's Exploda.
Mike, you want to show some of this shit? Mike has.
Cookies going in the
There you go,
oven.
Right, you should-
Oh.
All right, here we go. Time for us to insert Star Wars into the oven. Really? That was the hard part.
Alex, turn off your targeting computer.
My targeting computer?
Turn it off.
Grand
Close
Moff
your
Tarkin.
eyes.
It's Grand Moff Tarkin.
I'm right above my hands! Why was I not using my fucking targeting computer? I know, it doesn't
Have you guys? I'll tell you
Oh.
now.
Easy as pie.
Easy as cookies.
Easy as cookies.
Delish.
Amazing.
Now we wait.
Are you guys ready?
Let's do it. Smells amazing.
And you're gonna head
Smells great.
towards you, Jeff.
Oh yeah, they're brown. They're brown on the outside.
Too long.
This is what they said in the box. It's actually less than what they said on the box. Oh man.
Yoda should be red.
Did I overdo
Red
it?
Yoda. It's like the special
I'll
edition.
try
Yoda.
some Yodas.
He's losing detail.
Yeah, just like this.
Just sprinkle. Pinching.
Did I go too much then?
Oh my god. You mean Darth Caviar face?
I thought he was supposed to. I was
Yeah.
supposed to blacken him.
He looks like when you
Not
get
like a catfish. Nice.
Love is all around me.
All right, cookie time, cookie time.
Cookie time.
Choose your weapon.
I'm gonna do yellow.
Take white.
Did you cut the tip?
I didn't cut it deep enough. Didn't look at the box yet. I'm terrible at this.
Yes, eyebrows.
I'm terrible at this.
What's up, Stormtrooper?
That.
My Vader had major reconstructive surgery. He had an accident. He doesn't like to talk about it. He got in a motorcycle accident. He shouldn't have been racing,
what?
pod racing on Tatooine. He was.
Amazing. And what's this?
Dan, you don't even try.
You're just making Boba Fett frown.
You're not
doing a run of
trying.
black. And then we gotta do the other colors.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look how pimp that Boba Fett is.
Boba Fett. I mean, it's red. Here.
Yeah. Oh, yours looks like a freaking hot dog.
What?
It looks like a hot dog with the yellow and the... It's like mustard and ketchup.
Why did you put the yellow in there?
I believe it was on first, sir. You chose to make it hot dog flavored.
I was supposed to correct it.
How?
That's Boba Fett.
What happened there? That looks like the sad, like French impressionist clown version of.
I told you, what variations of the theme.
All right, I've decided it's time for me to eat one of these things. I'm gonna eat my first and probably best Yoda.
Yeah, it's definitely your best Yoda.
Verdict. What's the verdict? Good it is?
Oh, you guys gotta try it. Frosting makes a difference.
I'm gonna try this one because it has more frosting on it.
I'm gonna have this Boba Fett. Actually, this is a perfect Boba Fett. Whoa.
Quite good. Tastes
And I will eat my
tastes like
gift.
midi-chlorians.
The force is strong in this one.
Nicely done.
Well, Dan, good birthday gift.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very good.
Now, my friends, we are Jedi chefs, Jedi master chefs. I can wield the power of the Force. Are you ready?
Reload. So last week we talked about the Prince of Persia Sands of Time film, and we all had sort of mixed feelings about that. Accompanying that on its day of release was a new Prince of Persia video game. Of course, that's where the whole franchise started, was video games. And last year, Prince of Persia was released with a whole new concept, a kind of reboot, no subtitle. It was just Prince of Persia, and it had a new art style and a new kind of... He
Mechanic,
wasn't even
yeah.
a prince, really. It was,
Yeah.
you know, and I think, I can't
A
remember.
new gameplay mechanic as well.
Well, yes, very much so. It was much more outside the castle, flippity
Well, with the
flopping
girl.
around.
And you
as
didn't.
well.
And you didn't control. The whole thing was. It was like a cut. It was almost like a quick time event in a sense
Well,
where
that was one interpretation, yes, that it was much more rhythmed button presses rather than skillful navigation.
Yeah.
This Prince of Persia is much more in line with the first two 3D versions. In fact, it's
first three.
First three, and it's even much more similar to the old Jordan Mechner 2D version.
It's just called a boot. Because it's not a reboot. They just
Actually, this
booted
would
it
be
up.
back to what it used to be.
It's like what they're doing with Superman. They
Yeah.
made Superman Returns totally different, and then they go, oh crap, we
Well,
effed
no,
up. Now we're gonna
Superman
go back.
Superman 5.
Well, Superman Returns is in canon. This is a conversation that's not applicable. So, this Forgotten Sands, we have our prince from those first two, first three
yeah.
games that were the 3D versions. We're back in a castle. We're back to jumping around and navigation. The new additions to the game are the fact that our prince can now stop water in time, and he has his sands back, so he can rewind time a few seconds. But he can also stop the flow of water. Now that doesn't stop time all around, it only stops the flow of water. So effectively, when water is gushing out the side of a building, or wall I should say, he can stop it and it'll effectively form a bar that he can then swing on, or if there's a nozzle at the top that's shooting water down, he can jump on that pole and swing around. So it is creating navigational points throughout the castle to allow you to get to the goals, but only for short periods of time. So you'll have something like a waterfall that forms a wall, and you'll have two spouts on either side, so you have to freeze the flow of water, leap on the spout, let the flow of water go so you can go through the waterfall and then grab the next spout after you've stopped time again. It gets very complex as the game goes through. He also has elemental attacks for the first time, and in contrast to the last Prince of Persia, where he was only ever fighting one monster at a time, now there are these hordes of monsters coming at you, armies in fact. So Dan, I know you are a big Prince of Persia aficionado. You're a Surf of Persia. What's lower than a prince? What's a prince's prince? I don't know.
Surf could be.
It would be.
That's
That's a
a knight.
servant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knight. We'll see. What do you think? That was all wasted.
What do you think? That was brilliant. You just redeemed it.
No.
That's still going.
I am an aficionado. I haven't played the handheld versions of Prince of Persia. Besides this, I've played every instance of this game. And I did not like the second one, which this is an interquel to, between
Nicely
Sands
said.
of Time and, I've looked it up, and Warrior Within. But I loved
Isn't interquel the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, yanking, stuffing head fever so you can rest medicine?
Nope. But the three thrones, the third one I love. So I love Sands of Time, love that Three Thrones one. As I started to okay, first of all, I will say, the graphics, the look of this game, the tone of the game, the scope of the game, feels like a first generation, next generation
First
game.
generation 360 game.
Exactly. It feels like the first Tomb Raider game that came out for the 360. It feels like
Although we played it on the PS3, I should have said that.
it feels, that's true, but it feels like it feels like it came before last year's Prince of Persia, aesthetically and scope. But gameplay-wise, one of the best platform games, one of the best Prince of Persia games. And it's interesting because when I first unlocked the first power, the water mechanic, I was like, this really? Because what was great in the sequels to Sands of Time, you had stop time, it's like freeze time, and I was like, that was a cool power. And I was looking, it took me a while to even get to the water one, and I was like, I want more powers. I don't just want this like return to the first Prince of Persia. But that, and then you later on get a power where you rebuild there's like an old dilapidated part, and then you rebuild the part of the thing. And when I first get these powers, I'm like, this is silly. That's not as cool as stop time. But the way that they use these powers is spectacular. The strategy, not strategy, but the skill that you have to employ to do this stuff, it really shows what the misstep they took in that older Prince of Persia. This is what's fun, is controlling this guy and feeling, and the combat, the precision wasn't there, but the feeling of fighting off insane hordes of dudes that I loved how I always felt powerful. There were many of them, so it took some doing, but I always felt powerful doing so. And I want to say too, that the end game is one of the best end games. It does what every end game does, where it sort of incorporates everything you've accrued along the way, but it does it in a really spectacular, sandstorm way that's incredible.
I want to just touch upon what you said, because it kind of harkens back to what you said last week about Galaxy 2, Mario Galaxy 2.
Right.
In the sense of this game is an example of having fewer ideas, but exploring them to the fullest extent that you can explore them.
Yeah, by the end of this game, you were doing stuff. I made the mistake of putting the game down for a second and like going and having a lunch and then coming back.
Your dog.
And you're like, wait a minute. How can I even move this guy around? I'm holding one button to freeze water. I'm hitting another button to change the scenery. I'm holding another button to do the run things. I'm not even touching the jump button. I don't even want to touch the jump button. It slowly builds you up into this ability to do things that you would only see in Cirque du Soleil. I mean, it's really...
Not in the Prince of Persia movie.
Not in the Prince of Persia movie. Right, exactly. Had any of this shit been in the Prince of Persia movie?
Yeah, I mean, some of
You know
it
what
was,
I mean?
it just wasn't shot
No,
well.
but freezing water and like spinning, I mean, it's
not
crazy
weird.
stuff. I totally agree with Dan. I mean, this is a great, great game. I will say, if you get this game, give it some time, because at first, the first couple levels, until I kind of started getting some of the abilities, I really thought, oh man, the controls are muddy. This is a hack and slash. I'm doing nothing. I'm bored. I'm gonna push through. Then you start to get some of the abilities, and you start to really see the skill that is involved in successfully navigating this environment. And so there's a lot of enjoyment to be had. But I just wanted to mention that in case somebody's like, oh, I just get to the water stuff, then.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know what, did you guys do the elemental stuff? I don't know what elemental attack.
I
did
love.
you-
I
love
just
the
leveled.
ice.
I leveled less a little bit. Plus, there's a leveling mechanic in this game.
Which
Yeah,
is
first
awesome.
time in a Prince of Persia game.
Which is awesome.
I just did the whirlwind, and that did the trick, man.
Dudes,
Ice pretty much kicks ass too.
bro, fire. Literally, as soon as it, like all those, like, you remember I saw your tweet about the 2 mini bosses, guys, or whatever?
Yeah.
Literally, you just turn the fire on and like run in a circle, and I would just run in a circle towards the
I had a
big
bigger
guys.
problem, yeah.
Run in the circle towards the big guys, and then I would start hitting the big guys, and literally as I'm hitting the big guys, balls of experience points would just come sucking into me because of how powerful it became.
Pro tip, Alex Albrecht
Pro tip, fire and run around like a chicken. But I have to say, this is a solid, fun game.
I agree. It reminded me why I like this franchise. It reminded me why 3D platforming can really work well, even in a realistic kind of, I don't know, darker context. It reminded me why I loved the Prince of Persia 2D game, where you're just a dude in a castle trying to avoid traps and stuff.
Oh man, they really brought a lot of the original game back. The frickin' spikes. I mean, I was like, really? They sound exactly the same. They look. It's like it was so nostalgic.
I mean, I kind of missed the scope. I actually I wish the art style from the other one was in play
That
here.
sort of,
but those two
cel-shaded thing.
The third one in the franchise, you still get those spikes, you still get those cool rooms, but it would have been great to also be somewhere else. You know, like a little bit of.
I want to talk about a little bit of how great the controls are, and I know you guys both mentioned feeling maybe that they weren't quite there for you, but I love the fact that we have a jump button and then we have a move to the next ledge trigger, and that those two things are separate.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I hate most in games like this is when I intend to jump sideways and I jump backwards to my death.
Yeah.
Never did that in
Definitely.
this game because I had a different button for those
Yeah.
two actions. Brilliant! Why are not all games doing that? That's
Yeah.
wonderful. And I too enjoyed the combat quite a bit, even though it really is like a mow them down, and they're attacking very slowly, and there's not much challenge there. But it's fun to take on hordes of enemies.
And the bigger guys do represent some challenge. I mean, there's some dodging mechanics, and especially with the fire, helped out a lot.
Chicken run.
The other thing though,
The leveling was great.
The end of the game gets amazing all at once, like to the next level. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, I wish it got this, like, because you don't. Really,
I haven't gotten to the end.
Even
Full
leveling. Well,
disclosure, I wish I had.
I don't even mean story-wise. I just mean the story though is a little weak sauce.
Definitely,
Yeah, well,
definitely.
And Sands of Time has a spectacular story. So,
Definitely.
but I mean, just like leveling, you like aren't. It takes so long to level anything throughout the game, and then at the end, you suddenly become awesome and powerful and awesome. And I wish that pacing of that was better, but I don't know if that's just a good suck. You know,
Yeah,
like,
right?
you know what
It's
I mean?
a necessary evil.
A necessary evil, like that's what makes the end climactic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
kind
a
of
great
like
game.
it's kind of like Half-Life 2 when you get the blue gravity
Right.
gun.
It's like this would have been fun to be doing more
but
of.
no, you couldn't have because then there's no.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is one that
Definitely worth
strangely,
checking.
this is a big, high-profile franchise, and I think this game has really fallen under the radar. They didn't really push it
Honestly,
hard.
I thought it was a movie game.
Exactly.
I didn't
that
know
is
that it was
why
a real game.
I think that's exactly what happened to this game. Was
also
that it
didn't
came
market
out
it,
at the
did
same
they?
time? Well, it came out at the same time as the movie. They changed the look of the character to look a little bit more like Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie. I think a lot of people, me included, were looking at this going, "Wow, they actually made a crappy movie version." Game of Prince of Persia, which is a great game. What were they thinking?
Yeah.
Not
And,
that case.
Not that case at all.
I know.
All right, everybody, before we get to our email, we do want to thank our sponsors, GoDaddy.com. You heard of them?
I have.
Amazing. They do domain name registration and web hosting. If you're going to host your sites on GoDaddy.com, 99.9% uptime.
That's pretty much all the time.
That's pretty much all the time. Speaking of pretty much all the time, or exactly all the time, 24/7 service and support. Right?
Exactly all the time.
Exactly all the time. 24/7 service and support. That is a big deal. There's also like 30 free applications you can install on your website. Crazy stuff. There's a ton of coupon codes. If you head over to revision3.com/GoDaddy, there's a whole list. You can use TRS8 when you check out for 10% off.
You know, when we were talking about Prince of Persia, Dan sort of laid down the gauntlet. He said he's played every iteration of the Prince of Persia
Except
franchise.
for possibly handheld.
Except for the handheld games.
Except for the handheld games. Well,
Still.
Not much.
you can match Dan's challenge by playing every version of the Prince of Persia games.
You win nothing.
For very
Other than the games.
well,
Even then you don't
for
win
very,
those.
very inexpensive because you can get a subscription to video games at GameFly.com, who offers such delectable treats as 7,000 video games, of which I'm sure all the Prince of Persia titles
Amazing.
are a member, not just a president, but a member. Doesn't make any sense. And you can get that for $15.95 a month. You play them as long as you want. There's no due dates. There's no late fees. Send it back when you're done. They'll send you the next one on your list. It's great. If you happen to like one enough that you want to keep it, you can buy it for a reduced price because you're paying the subscription fee. And you can get a 2-week free trial to this service by going to gamefly.com/TTRS. You need to do this. You need to use that URL. Why are you laughing?
Dan, what's up?
He was breaking, and I saw it, and you didn't. So then it's funny to me. Okay. Get it together.
That was exactly that is literally exactly
Those are the
what
beats.
happened.
I'm doing the
Beat by
get him to
beat.
the Greek, telling the truth humor.
All right.
Netflix.com is online subscription-based renting with 12 million members.
That's
What?
crazy.
Insane. Basically, you get the movie that you put in your queue in one business day, or you can watch that movie instantly on your computer, your Xbox, your PS3, your Wii, your iPad. They have Blu-rays as well. I think it's easy for all of us to highly recommend, in light of Splice
So
this week,
easy.
Cube.
Yeah.
So easy.
In addition,
Or Species.
Ha!
I don't
Funny.
know about that.
We saw Natasha Henstridge at the store.
We did.
Yeah.
She's still looking good.
So, what I want to also tell you is that if you go to plans start at as low as $8.99, and for $8.99 you can literally watch something instantly, or you can watch movies instantly or TV shows instantly and get something sent to you in the mail. If you go to www.netflix.com/TRS, you can sign up for a free trial. Boom.
Done. Netflix, what up? Also, if you like video games, you have to check out the game show on Revision 3. It's recorded live. You can check it out every Tuesday night, I think it is. Just head over to revision3.com/thegameshow. Let's get to an email, shall we?
Let's.
Hey guys, I'm an Army officer currently deployed in Iraq, and my wife...
Thank you.
Yes, most definitely. And my wife and I, she is also an officer, and we were lucky enough to be sent to the same location.
Amazing.
That must be
How
very
cool is
rare.
that? How pissed off are all his friends?
I know. I was like, damn it, my wife's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Or other places.
That's a whole. I would watch that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, written by Jan Trachtenberg.
Well.
The Love Locker.
Okay, so I'm going to try to back up so it makes sense when I can continue this. So my wife and I have been watching old episodes of your show to pass time between missions. Even with old movies and video games, it's still fun to rewatch you guys going at it in your reviews. Very nice, thank you very much. Although my wife and I absolutely love our chosen profession, we both sincerely envy you guys and the jobs that you have been doing at TRS. While watching the 2009 Live from Comic-Con episode, I wonder what your first jobs were. My first job was an ice cream scooper, and I wanted to know if the dudes as rad as yourselves, like, that's the job. I just do this.
His first job was like in 1952.
Yeah. I carried ice.
Candy striper.
Yeah. Candy striper, I love it. Wanted to know if dudes as rad as yourselves started out in similarly low-key jobs, or if you were lucky enough to get something truly epic to provide your first paycheck. Thanks, and keep it rad, Gino. I don't know if I would say that we, at any first job, can be truly an epic job. Maybe.
Mine was.
What? What was yours? Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
My
your first
very
job?
first paid, any kind of income that I got was as a video game reviewer, a published video
Wow.
game
Is
reviewer.
exactly
Full
yeah,
circle.
what he's-
Yeah.
Look at that. That's what
I
you
was
do now.
14.
That's so cool.
And I was writing for the newspaper. I was writing. It was the most amazing thing. This was before video games were cool. My picture was in every Saturday in the newspaper.
did see the
and-
picture.
Yes, you saw the picture. Whew. And it was not cause. Now video games are kind of cool, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, not then. Not then. It was
Yeah.
look who the nerd in the newspaper is.
Actually,
Amazing.
video games were cool initially.
No.
And the arcade machines was where the cool people went to
I
hang out.
reviewed computer games. I
Exactly.
reviewed like
That's what I'm
That's
getting
your
to.
issue.
That was the mistake.
King's Quest
yeah,
1.
but you know that was the very first paycheck. I made $25 a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and almost every penny went
Back then, that's
right into
pretty good.
comic books. I just took my paycheck and walked right over
you
to the
got free
comic book
games,
store.
right?
And
Or did
free
you?
games, which was the
that's
reason I
huge.
even got into the whole
That's
thing.
huge.
And then my first actual like jobby job was working at a movie theater.
Yeah.
Interesting.
As a candy striper.
What about you, Danny?
Well, you were writing the articles in those newspapers. I was delivering them.
Were you?
My first real job, my first job, I was in 3rd grade. I loved playing Paperboy. And I really
Amazing.
wanted to be awesome at that. I wanted to be the Paperboy.
Well, thank God you didn't love Joust.
Unfortunately,
Mom, I want an ostrich.
Unfortunately, I remember the first day doing it, my mom dropped me off with my bike there. I couldn't ride my bike to where the papers were. I was in 3rd grade. So dropped me off to the street that I had to deliver the Willow Grove Guide. But all the houses were like, you had to open the screen door. And
You
so
couldn't
I
become a
literally, I
Paperboy?
couldn't do that. It sucked.
You wouldn't have done that anyway.
I wanted to.
You would have tried it once and went, oh, crap.
Yeah, I'm not a paperboy anymore.
But likewise, my first real job was working at Suncoast Motion Pictures, the video
Nice.
store.
Does that even exist anymore?
Does not exist anymore. It was part of Sam Goody and Musicland.
Wow.
And then actually, I was not. They had a policy of not hiring anyone under a certain age, and because I used to go in there and talk about kung fu movies with the guy. They're like, we gotta hire this kid.
They waived
they
the
waived the
rule.
rule to hire him.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
We'll hire you, kid.
We used to
We know
look
your
up
stuff.
We used to look up if people wanted to special order a movie. We had to look it up on microfiche.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
how
Yeah.
times have changed.
They don't know. Half the people watching the show literally think I just spoke Latin.
Yeah.
Maybe I did actually. Oh,
I
okay.
think I might have. Is microfiche Latin? Anyway, I think
They're like
fiche
tiny
stands
fish.
for wording. Microfiche.
Really tiny
catfish. I too was a paperboy. My first job.
It's sort of the.
That was first paycheck.
mean,
very
it's a lot of
middle
kids.
America.
You know what
yeah.
I've never really realized? The death of print media means the death of so many
death
first
of the
jobs
paper
for
boy.
young boys.
Oh, there are a lot of 8-year-old bloggers out there that are doing great. That could actually.
ISPs!
Yeah. I'm behind smokinggun.com. So anyway, so I too did the thing, and I remember my hands, because I don't know, you had to roll your own papers.
Yeah, remember that.
We would get stacks of papers, and I just
Dan, you
remember.
still roll your own
And what I
papers.
used to do, and what I used to do is I actually would pay my little sister slightly less than I made to roll
Didn't
all
you
of
make
my
no
papers.
money? I made no
Wow.
money.
Yeah, but I would be
Even
like.
at that age, Alex was a
Entrepreneur.
little
I was
entrepreneur.
like, how do I use money to not have to work as much?
Amazing.
And that's what I did. I'd be like, Ozzy,
That
why
is
don't you
funny.
go
Amazing.
roll up the papers, and I'll give you 10 cents for every paper you roll, and knowing that I was getting 20 cents for every paper I delivered, so I'd just do that and then
Amazing.
go out and throw them into the streets.
That is.
Alex Albrecht,
Yeah,
PT.
that's.
That's telling. It's foretelling of my business savvy. Well, thank you, Gino, so much for the email address and for the email, and do stay safe out there with your
You
wife.
and your wife, yes.
And thank you
for
so
your
much.
service.
Yes, most definitely.
Appreciate it.
If you would like to have your email read on the show, please feel free to send it to fans at totallyradshow.com. This is a giggly one. This is late.
It's a little
late.
That's also where you would send us a background like Chris, the King at Rock, did.
Here we go.
You can download this background at totallyradshow.com. You can see all the backgrounds we've ever
We
used.
have some, honestly, because I post the backgrounds every week.
Dude, this one's
Seeing-
badass.
Yeah, but seeing all the backgrounds,
You see how badass we look?
like in the little gallery thing.
Yeah.
we got some talented mother
Yeah.
effing fans.
In fact, we probably shouldn't even stand in front of most of them. They're too good looking.
We should do just an audio podcast with just the
Also,
background.
you should send into that email address an intro like John Vodapija did.
Wow.
Look at you just rolling it off your tongue.
There's a guideline for what we need for that intro. It's in our forums.
Indeed. It is strict.
Where's that forum?
At totallyradshow.com, you can click on forums. It's sticky.
Love it.
And if you need gear, you need swag from
Yeah, Jinx.com. Hopefully you were in on that 25% off. Don't know when that's gonna come back around. That was a
still
hot,
don't-
hot
don't
You know
wait
what?
for that.
Don't
No,
wait.
actually, you know what? What's coming up is E3. We're
E3?
gonna be
Soon.
on the floor of E3, and that's open to public now, right?
Nah, sort of.
Not really.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're okay. But Comic-Con
Comic-Con.
and PAX are in the future.
Yeah.
And
It's an easy way for us. It's an easy way for us to notice you. Is for you to be wearing the name of our show.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't
hope to
look
be
at
at those places.
Yeah. And we also don't
pretty
look
sure
at
we will be, but we
people
don't.
who've written the name of our show on shirts. It must be official for us to notice them.
I don't know.
So get your swag
They're
to show
really
off
cool.
at these geek conventions.
All right, well that is it for this week's edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Albrecht.
Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Until next time, buy some swag. What?
We're gonna start off talking about Splice. Splice comes from director Vincenzo Natali.
Probably Natali.
I don't know, yeah.
Well, they did announce.
He's Italiano.
Hold on.
do it.
So I wonder, Natali's probably means something in Italian.
It's possible.
So Natal probably
Wait.
just discovered something. This week in movies, we're talking about Splice. And it comes from director Vincenzo Natali, who...
Vincenzo Natali.
Just sat there so long. It sat there so long.
I knew something was off, but it all seemed fine, so I kept on going.
Oh, God.
All right, here we go. This week in movies, we're talking about Splice. Hold on. This week in movies. Oh, God. This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice.
Shit.
All right, here we go. This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice. It comes from director Vincenzo Natali, who is famous for, right? Yeah.
It's too weird.
This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice. It comes from director.
I tell you, I almost farted. Oh. Okay, it's the one, Pinchy. It's the one. We're going right through. Right through. Power through.
Oh, my God.
Let's start with Get Him with the Gracious.
There's nothing. There's no reason to be laughing at this.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice. It comes from director Vincenzo. Tom Mike!
Mike
That
did it.
was mine!
I was
out.
stoned.
He went because
I
he
was
saw.
solid.
He went because he saw me. I kind of went a little bit.
This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about. Oh, fuck! Oh, God! I don't see an end in sight.
I do. I'm done. It's not funny anymore.
This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice. It comes from director Vincenzo.
I don't even know what he's talking about. What's it by?
Don't even say who the director did until later.
No.
Say later.
It's ridiculous.
It's the same
I have
pattern.
so much I have to say about that. This week in movies, we're going to start off talking about Splice. It comes from director. I don't know why you think that's funny.
No, I'm very excited.
It comes from director.
Do not talk to him.
He was a mess. It doesn't make sense to be
I was
that
not a
much
mess. I was just.
I think you already saw.
That's gonna be the best outtakes ever. Woo! Little monsters on my feet. Ah!